Hello, hello, hello. It's been a hot minute since we've covered the Brooklyn Nets on this channel, but here we are. There's been plenty of news regarding this basketball team, especially in the last week. Today, we'll break it all down. You know the deal. Like and subscribe. I'm a loyal Nets fan, not a bandwagon. You're getting an unbiased take here. So let's begin with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Reports have emerged, leaving NBA Twitter in an absolute mess, littered with NBA trade machines, horrible takes, and contradicting reports. It's been clear the Nets have been in a holding pattern with Kyrie Irving and his contract extension. The Nets want a shorter-term incentive-based deal as per Bleacher Report, which would make sense given his unreliability in his Nets tenure. Kyrie wants a longer-term deal. There's no middle ground though, and thus there's been no agreement. It needs to be sorted by June 29th, as the player option for roughly $37 million meets its deadline on that date. Declining it doesn't seal his departure, but picking it up doesn't guarantee his staying. Though, if he declines, he could sign with another team, but if he re-signs, it could lock them into a situation where they're not getting what they bargained for. Indeed, very complicated. As a result, shit's gone down. We'll cover the various perspectives. You've got reports saying Kyrie Irving will opt in for a sign and trade, or Kyrie Irving's trying to gain leverage over the Nets by exploring his options and forcing the Nets into signing a long-term deal. And as a ripple effect, Kevin Durant's been sucked into this. There's claims that KD will want out. KD hasn't indicated his plans for a trade if Kyrie requests out. KD is considering options, and KD may leave even if it's not because Kyrie walks. And the team popping up as the place Kyrie is going to is the Lakers? On a mid-level exception. The other teams, alongside the Lakers, Brooklyn would need to aid in order to gain cap space to take on Kyrie's contract. There's also been an incredible amount of slander placed on owner Joe Tsai and GM Sean Marks for playing hardball and essentially alienating, is the word that a lot of people are using, alienating Kyrie Irving from the organization. Now in NBA Twitter fashion, everything's being mocked, everyone's overreacting. Like that saying, innocent until proven guilty, bullshit until proven true, which takes the same form, is the philosophy and mindset I'm adopting with this situation. Once I see it happen, then I'll react. But until then, I have plenty of opinions. There's a lot of questions, and we'll break it down into two categories. The first, what happens if they stay? Well, if they stay, I'll be relieved more than anything. We need to focus on wing rotation and defense. From an outsider's perspective, we've had no big guards or intense defenders on this roster. If we can address that with wings and get a combo guard, I think it could transform our roster. Crowder, Tucker, O'Neal, names being thrown around. One of the problems with our roster would be that it isn't multifaceted. The continual reliance on offense means that if you aren't taking shots or making shots, and you can't get stops, there's no fallback, and you'll get flogged every game. I think we forget that Ben Simmons exists on this roster, and whilst his playing future is blurred, you can't argue with me and say we aren't moving in the right direction resolving those issues if he plays. Those factors have me believing there's a chance for a run at a championship. I'm not sold on the coach, and the roster composition wasn't great last year. Constantly changing and lacking continuity. There's an easy fix with that, and we have the offseason. Let's get it sorted right now. But that leads me into the alternative, which could throw that right out of whack. What happens if they leave? A few things. A lot of reflection and looking in retrospect. For example, the team and culture we had years ago that NBA fans fell in love with. The bench dances, the fun style of play, the heartbreak, it wasn't boring by any stretch. That went out the window the minute the stars came through. And that's somewhat why I think I'll be at peace if they left. Enough of the drama, cut the bullshit, bring the fun back. There would also be a crap ton of cap space. It's almost like if in European football you sold a player for 100 million, you can buy 5 20 million players that fit the bill and address needs. It'd be to the same effect here, somewhat. It's a lot of money off the books without those two, although We owe, according to The Athletic, 111 million to 6 players without Kyrie, which would mean even with minimum deals, would go over the cap. So not great. Interestingly, the Ben Simmons role within the ball club becomes very different and the makeup of the organisation changes, with the veterans on the roster that chase the chip no longer seeing that possibility being viable given the personnel that's left the team. Yet, as Nets fans like myself, there's an element of frustration and anger that'll rush through because of the position we are currently in and what that will amount to if they leave. Sure, there's very good return incoming if trades occur. KD is locked into a long-term deal. We have leverage in what we demand, but this is an opportunity for a championship. And being pushovers and letting these superstars right through the exit is just poor business and a lack of awareness. Look at all the picks we've lost, what we've compromised, to let the two figures go having achieved absolutely stuff all, injuries included. Hell nah. For those bagging Sean Marks, this is what I have to say. Do not forget where he got us to. Yes, I'll be triggered if he eternally screws us up. Who wouldn't? But in saying that, he's a smart guy. History's proven that. He knows his shit. I trust him to navigate this properly. For those bagging Joe Tsai for this tweet where he says team culture over star player, here's what I have to say. I understand both sides. I can see where he's coming from, given I would happily exchange for positive vibes in a heartbeat, and also, it's a tweet, calm your ass down. From an unbiased Nets perspective, what I have to say to summarise this is, far out what a pain in the ass. And man am I exhausted with the drama. And man, people are deluded. As I said, bullshit until proven true. Then when the ship has sailed on a decision, we can make proper judgment. But for now, let's conclude this is one huge, dramatic mess. Sort this out, Sean. Steve Nash, please go away. Share your thoughts in the comments. This can create a fascinating discussion, so I'm willing to hear it. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.